And I think that this gospel this weekend is amazingly relevant for me, I think, in what we are getting ready to set out on in this parish mission. And just wanted to kind of use it to introduce maybe a little bit about what the parish mission might be like if you choose to come to the talks each night. It is a different talk every night, but we'll be kind of centering around something, and I wanted to kind of use the gospel to look at that. So there are three really important phrases, I think, or relevant phrases to this parish mission that are in our gospel today, and I wanted to focus on them and just mention them briefly. One of the things that we hear, the first thing that we hear, the very opening verse, the opening line of our gospel is that it says that people were pressing in on Jesus from all sides, from all directions. And I think that if people that have read that in the Catholic Church throughout the centuries have also kind of seen in that this crowd just sort of pressing in on Jesus. The same thing that that we have in our world today, where people are looking for answers and they're kind of pressing Jesus and they want to test him and they want to poke him and they want to see and they want to say, who are you? We've heard about you. Do something for us. Show something. Teach us. Feed us. And this crowd is kind of descending on Jesus, looking for answers, looking for answers to the questions that they have in their life. And I think that while if you listen to the media today, we would describe our nation as being like sort of, post-Christian. I think if we're really honest, and I know like in some of the work that I do, whether it's on the internet or with high school kids or whatever, I see quite the opposite. I see a lot of people are looking for answers now more than ever. And I think what we see is that the sort of new atheism that's out there, as it's being described, of Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens and some of these New York Times bestsellers that are at the top, the God delusion and all of these things. These people that are out there saying, hey, Christianity's so stupid. People are reading those books, but I think that people are still actually finding those answers that they find in there quite insufficient. And that in fact, they don't answer the questions that are burning within their soul. And I think that the same thing goes for all of the new atheists that are in our popular culture, whether it's Lil Wayne or Marilyn Manson or whoever. The answers that those types of people are providing in Hollywood and on some of our television shows, those answers, I think people are listening to them and are consuming that media, but they're not satisfied with the answers they find there. And so I find people that are in the world that would consider themselves atheistic or not fans of Catholicism or Christianity, they're still pressing upon Jesus and descending on Jesus just like they did in the gospel, saying, okay, what do you got to say? They're like auditioning Jesus. They're saying, okay, look, I'm looking for answers and I've looked other places and I haven't found them there. And so they're coming, but they might not be coming to church, but they're certainly looking for and looking at us and asking us, or maybe they're watching us at work or wherever we might be, and saying, I wonder if they have found the answer. I wonder if Christianity and Christ has the answer to the questions that I've been asking. So that's a positive thing. People are looking for answers. And they have questions that they're very passionate about and that are at the very core of their soul. And again, they might not register on a brochure or on a survey as being Christian or Catholic, but they're still open to what the church has to say. And so that's a good thing. The second thing to note, I think, from our gospel is to ask ourselves, where does Jesus answer their questions from in today's gospel? And it's a really important thing. He doesn't just stay on the shore as they're sort of backing him up against the lake, and they're coming down upon him. He doesn't just stay there against the edge of the water and like say, okay, take a number, I'll get to you, and start healing people. What he does is he gets in a boat and he pushes off shore a little bit and answers them from the boat. And the church fathers have always seen that from the very beginning. St. Augustine, St. Thomas Aquinas, all of these great early Christian saints, right from the beginning, refer to this gospel passage and this boat of Peter as being foreshadowing or sort of a foretelling of the church. The church has always been described as this boat. A boat is something that can take in many people oftentimes. It is a place of refuge. It is a place, sometimes the church is compared to like Noah's Ark that takes in all of these people. And so this image of the church being a boat has been there for a long time, and specifically today because it's Peter's boat. Peter being, of course, the first pope. And so the early church fathers see in this very clearly Jesus demonstrating, I answer questions from the church, from within the church. And that is highly important for us. People can say, people will say all the time, well, I could just walk around the Scatatuck Park and commune with Jesus. Or I could sit at home on my couch and meet God. Why do I need the church? And I would say to that, that's a perfectly good question. And the reason we need the church is because Jesus set it up that way. Could Jesus have done it differently? Absolutely. Did he do it differently? No. He's saying in today's gospel and demonstrating, as he does elsewhere, and as the scriptures say elsewhere, Jesus founded the church and wants to teach and reach people and answer their questions from the church, from the boat of Peter. And so that is also highly important for us. And many people, of course, unfortunately, who are looking for answers to life's questions, have dismissed the church. Whether it be all, typically because of one or many of the scandals that have rocked the church from the beginning, whether it's the Crusades or Galileo or the Inquisition or priests that have abused children in our own day. Whatever the scandal may be, many people have dismissed the church. They've written it off before listening. They have said in their mind, there is absolutely no way that the answer to my questions can come from that wretched place. There is absolutely no way. They will look everywhere else but the church for the answers to their questions. And the problem is, of course, as we know, that Jesus has said, the church is where I answer the questions from. It is where I have chosen to come to my people from. And he has set it up that way. Could he have done it differently? Yes. Did he? No. And so we have to understand that Jesus chooses and wants to reach people through the church. And then also have to recognize that many people have dismissed that fact. And we have to take that into consideration. The third thing then, as well, from our gospel today, Jesus commands the apostles to put out into the deep. Put out into the deep. They've been fishing all night, and Jesus says, put out into the deep. I love that phrase, and I think it's very relevant for us. Jesus, the apostle, or when you are ordained a priest, you have a holy card for your ordination, that you kind of give everyone to remind them to pray for you. And every priest chooses kind of a gospel phrase or something from Jesus to sort of summarize what they believe their priesthood is called to be. The one that I chose for my holy card for my priesthood was put out into the deep. Put out into the deep. And what I think Jesus is saying there is he's not just giving us advice about how to fish if we're ever on the Lake of Gennesaret. He's also telling us that we need to, if we really want to realize what our faith is about, we have to put out into the deep. We have to put out into the deep. Not the shallow, but we have to go after the difficult things. And I think that, again, going back to those people who are looking for the answers to life's questions, they will want to put out into the deep as well. And we need to be able to do that. And I think what Jesus is saying is, look, test the boat. Test the boat and see if it works or not. See if the things that Jesus Jesus is encouraging us, see if the things that I'm telling you through the church are true. Test this. You know, there's lots of places, lots of other faiths, lots of other things where I can hear people saying, hey, it's good to share. It's good to be nice. It's good to recycle. There's lots of places that are saying that. In my work with young people, and it was a great learning experience for me these past 3 years, because I grew up Catholic, and I just sort of took my faith for granted, really, in lots of ways. But what we see is that the people that are out there that are looking for the answers to life's questions, they're wanting to know the answers to the hard things. And some of those people are also in the church. The value of Catholicism, the value of our Catholic faith, only starts to really shine through when we put into the deep. What does the church say about the difficult stuff? I have a friend who, Father Meyer and I have a priest friend. His name's Father Aaron Jenkins. He's real outdoorsy. And he's building a boat right now in his dad's garage. And he is getting ready. Last weekend he was putting on a coat of whatever, epoxy or whatever it is that keeps the thing floating. And he doesn't test, I was thinking about that with the boat and the homily this weekend. Father Aaron Jenkins, when it comes time to test the boat, he's not going to do it with like a little medicine dropper of water. Like, oh, it kept that little drop of water out. It must be ready for sea. And I was thinking as well, like thinking about like cars, test cars, you see on the commercials. No one tests a car to see if it's safe by like wrecking it at like 2 miles an hour. Like, oh, it hit that stop sign at 1 mile an hour. It's ready for the highway. No one does that. They wreck it at 80 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour and they see what happens. And I think that the reason I bring that up is I think that that's what Jesus is saying. Put out into the deep. Go looking for real answers and ask real questions. Okay, is sharing? Yes. Nice? Yes. All those other things? Yes. That everyone's talking about and everyone knows in our heart are good? Yes. We need to do those. But if we really want to examine our faith, and if we really want to speak to people and draw them in, and get past their hatred for the church, we have to know that our church has answers, that Christ has the answers to not just surface level questions, but deep questions. The questions that people are asking that are relevant, that are important. What does the church say about embryonic stem cell research? Lots of people are saying be nice. Not lots of people are standing up and saying, hey, we have something to say about embryonic stem cell research. It's not in the Bible. People that would say, everything, the answer to every question, Jesus just speaks to us through the Bible and doesn't want to speak through the church. Well, embryonic stem cell research is not in the Bible. In fact, had Jesus said on the Lake of Gennesaret, it's wrong to do embryonic stem cell research, everyone would have been like, huh? What are you talking about? Jesus, does He speak to us through the Bible today still? Does the Word of God? Absolutely. It continues to reach us through the Bible, but He's also chosen to speak to us from the boat of Peter. And He's chosen to answer the modern and the relevant questions and the questions that society puts to Him. He answers today through the church. And if we really want to reach people, if we really want to help people find the answers to the questions that really matter, we have to know and put out into the deep ourselves. And not be satisfied anymore with surface level questions. And so the next 3 nights, what we will be looking at, and the question that we'll be asking is our faith relevant today? Does it have anything to say to what's going on in our world today? We will be putting out into the deep. We will be looking at deeper questions, relevant questions, things that really matter, and looking at how to help people draw people here to find the answers to the questions that they ask and that their hearts are longing for. I'm excited to be here for this, I ask that you keep us in prayer if you can't make it any of the nights, or if you can't make it every night, whatever it may be, whatever your level of involvement over these next 3 days is, I definitely ask that you pray for our parish mission. Pray for our preparation as we head towards the season of Lent. I believe that this will be a grace-filled opportunity, and it's good for us to be here. And I look forward to, along with you, these next few days, putting out into deep water.